nervous, bro. I am the Concrete Rose. I've been diagnosed with childhood sexual trauma, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and also psychological trauma.
I'm bipolar, and I was in darkness for a long time.
Our community, the African American community, is that we can talk about a thyroid, we can talk about cancer, breast cancer, AIDS even, but we won't deal with the mental, and that's an issue. The reason why we can't find culturally competent therapists is because at home, in the African American community, we don't talk about mental health. You know, it's a stigma surrounding it. And when you have no one to talk to, what a person usually do is they will try to self-medicate. To be strong as a black woman in Hollywood, because I kept hearing that term. Everyone kept saying, be a strong black woman, strong black woman. Then I realized that's a myth.
Angry black woman. So I guess that's the thing. A stereotypical bullshit ass label. So you could categorize me, diagnose me, and try to extinguish my existence. Did you ever think that maybe I'm that angry? Maybe you just don't listen? Cause as soon as a sister gets a backbone, they say that I'm bitching. But it save our daughter as soon as one of us go missing.
It means that I'm some superhuman in some kind of way where nothing affects me, and that is so far from the truth. Sometimes I don't want to be strong. Sometimes the weight is just too much, you know, and to put on that facade like you're strong all the time, is this exactly what it is, a facade? That's whack.
And too often, mental illness is taboo in our community. You have to be patient for your levels.
Okay.
That's the most important part. You know, you'll get on some medication, you'll be like, oh, this is horrible, I got dry mouth, ooh, my sexual desire went away. Okay, so lessen that milligram, but don't not take care of yourself. I'm not pushing any given or specific drug. You know, I think we got too much of that out in the world anyway. You know, help yourself. But if you really need it, it's like high blood pressure. It's like, you know, cancer. Take care of yourself.
Now, because we are facing a national crisis, I want people to know that it is okay to seek help for mental health. There is nothing wrong with it. You go to the dentist, don't you? You go get your yearly checkup. Better check on your mental.
How I got diagnosed with childhood sexual trauma was starting at the age of 4. I was actually molested by one of my older cousins, and he was the first. And then by the time I turned about 7 or 8, we had moved to a new city. I had 2 new cousins that started molesting me on top of the other cousin that was already molesting me. So at that point, it was 2 male cousins and 1 female cousin. And then I remember the summer I was about to turn 9. I went out of town to my uncle's house, which I didn't want to go. And me and my sister stayed in his basement. And actually my sister molested me and his daughter in his basement. And then his son actually molested me in front of his daughter in his basement. Yeah, happy family. So, I mean, naturally, I sat with that for many, many years. Actually, the first person to find out that I even experienced molestation was my mother. And she found out actually through my sister, who found out through my ex-fiance, who I had told in confidence. And he didn't know that my sister had actually molested me too. So she actually told my mom, like, oh, like that time when such and such molested you. Like, it was like an aha moment for her. So I was forced into telling my story. I was forced into telling my truth. And it wasn't until I was probably about 26 when I told my mom about everyone else that touched on me. How my family reacted. Oh man. My mom and my grandma, of course, they were upset. My grandma didn't find out till way, way later, till I was like almost 30. My dad, he was upset, but then it's kind of like one of those, oh, it happened. Okay, well, what else is going on in the world? And I actually started confronting in my own way the parents of the children that molested me. Because one thing I know for sure, there's no way in the world that your child could have molested me as a child if it wasn't going on in the home in some type of form or fashion.
Every time I talk about being a rape survivor, people are like, oh, and then they forget. We are so conditioned that we know what someone looks like who has suffered from PTSD. We believe we know what rape victims look like. And it's not me. I've been going to therapy since I was 19. I started like a week after I was raped and at the store that I worked at during my rape. I floated over my body. I hovered over my body. And it wasn't until dude asked me to hand him the gun that I came back into myself. Tried to kill him. That's what it feels like throughout a lot of this, is that I'm just like floating. I'm like, ooh, girl, bob and weave. Yeah. And like, you know, but my other self that's just sort of floating and watching it all is like, ooh, this is crazy. But as I'm experiencing it, it's just like nothing can harm me if I'm not in my body.
Of Eartha Kitt, if I say, from the book it seems, there is the very vulnerable, innocent young girl who was abused, as you say, and rejected. And then there is the extrovert person. When does one character stop and the other take over? Are you conscious of the two sides of your character?
Very often I am, and then sometimes I'm not. And when I catch myself realizing that I have reverted back into being Eartha May, I have
this is Eartha May, which is what your name was and when you were very poor, and your mother actually passed you on to somebody else.
Yes, she gave me away to a family that eventually wound up using me as a work mule. And my mother gave me to this family because the man that she wanted to marry said, I don't want that yellow gal in my house. Which meant that being an illegitimate child and also the wrong color. You are not wanted by the blacks, and the whites couldn't care less. So this black family, who had 2 teenage children, used me as a, whatever they could use me as a working person. And then I was also by the young gentleman in that family.
Were you? How old were you then?
I know people don't believe it when I say I don't know how old I am, but I know somewhere I'm way past 60.
But how old were you then?
Not way past 60, but I'm way past 50. But I was really still about 5, 6 years old.
And all that abuse going on.
Yes, and all of that abuse was going on, and I couldn't tell anybody about it because who would have believed me? And the young boy, he was not the nicest kid in the world, and neither was his sister, who also, I didn't know anything about lesbians in those days. And she too tried. And there were times when the whole family was gone into the fields or something like that, harvesting, picking cotton or whatever they were doing, and we were left in the house alone. The 2 teenagers would tie me in what we call a croquet sack. I think you call it, what potatoes come in.
Yeah.
They would tie the sack around my waist and then tie me to a tree. And with a peach tree switch, they would beat my bottom until I was bleeding, and I only had one thing to wear, and that was also made of potato sacking. And
Well, I can understand how.
So, I remember the exact date. It was May 19, 2019. And I confronted my uncle about the first cousin that was molesting me. My mom had actually already told her sister, which is his wife. And we were in front of my grandmom and my mom. And I remembered I kept trying to just avoid having conversation with them because I was really, really upset. And I got tired of it. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and hold in my truth. This is my story. This is what happened to me. I remember I grabbed my uncle by the hands and I told him, I said, Uncle, the reason why I tried to commit suicide in 2017 was because your son was molesting me starting at 4 years old. And my aunt was at the door and she turned around and looked at me and said, good, and slammed the door. That spiraled into me running to the door. I was just going to run to the door to cuss my aunt out, call her all types of bitches and this, that, and the third. My uncle ended up putting his hands on me. Yeah. That spiraled into a fight and me and him was tussling back and forth, and I'm much stronger than what people give me, you know, credit to be. But yeah, you should never judge a book by its cover, because we talking about 20-something years of trauma coming out all at one time. I kept tossing my uncle on the couch. He kept trying to keep me from leaving out the house. I kept tossing my uncle on the couch. Finally, I was able to get him off of me. The process of me tossing him on the couch, I broke one of my toes. I ran down the steps. My aunt was getting in her car, and he was running down behind me. He was like, yeah, Tina, get in your car. And I was like, yeah, bitch, get in your car. Because not only did you just undermine my sexual trauma, you just undermined my mental health as well by telling me I should go kill myself, basically. So that spiraled into me and my aunt getting into an altercation, and my uncle came up behind me, of course, because I was whipping on his wife, and he slammed me to the ground, and when he slammed me to the ground, I was knocked unconscious. He actually broke certain pieces in my back when he slammed me, and he also damaged my spine. When I came back to, you would think that the fight would be over, but my uncle had me pinned down to the ground. He was like, oh, you thought I was just going to let you whip on my wife, bitch? And he punched me in my face. I never got a sorry that this happened to you or sorry that our son molested you. Instead, she went back to North Carolina and took herself to the ER because I fucked her up. I did. And then a few days later, probably a week later, close to a week later, I get a message from her son saying, oh, so I molested you? Bitch, you better be lucky that you're breathing. I'll see you very soon, cousin. Yeah. This very same aunt, in order to cover up what her son and what her and her husband did to me, her husband, who's also accused of molesting my sister when she was younger, yeah, and she still stayed. She's still going around talking about it. She's lying on people. She's not telling people that, oh, well, my son molested her, and that's why we got in the fight, because when she told my husband that's why she tried to commit suicide, I said, good. No, she's just making it seem like, oh, she's just angry, and she's just upset, and she's just mad because I'm upset and I'm angry and I'm mad because you're going around only telling this much of the story. All you're telling people is I put my hands on you and my grandmother wants nothing to do with you. You're not telling people that you support child molesters. You're not telling people that you told me that I should kill myself because I'm traumatized because I've been getting molested for 13 years by family members. Yeah.
She needs help because she's going to kill herself, she said, if she go back today. I can't let them take my baby out of here. I already did it twice.
I can't do this.
I already did it twice. I did this twice already. I can't do it again. I can't send her out of here. But look at her.
I can't do this, please.
She said she's going to kill herself if they take her. And I don't know what to do. And I need more. Tell them what was happening.
I don't want to go back. I'm being tormented. I'm being used. I'm being treated like a slave. I'm being treated like I don't belong.
I don't know where to hide her at. I want to take her and just go. But I can't leave Nami.
I don't want to be here.
I don't
want to lose my cousins. I don't want to lose my grandma. I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to lose everyone.
She was cutting herself and everything, and they still want him to take her.
I don't want to go back. He was stupid. I don't want to go back.
I'm so sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I promise I'm getting me for this to happen.
Y'all told me I'll be okay.
I know, and I know. I'm sorry, more. I thought you would be okay. Let me tell you something. You did nothing wrong. You did the right things by telling. You don't know how brave you are, baby. You understand?
These people don't listen.
I told you, baby, you're the bravest person I know in this world. I swear to God. You are such a brave girl. You don't know, baby. I swear.
Back. What if they get here and I say I don't want to go back?
I don't know, baby.
I'm gonna say that.
I swear to God, I don't know. I will try to fight it. I promise. I swear.
I'm just gonna tell the people I can't go back there. Maybe they'll listen to me this time. Maybe they'll listen because they didn't listen to a 9-year-old. Maybe they'll listen to a 12-year-old. This is why I haven't had a childhood. I just at least wanted to stay.
Oh, baby says she just want a fucking shower, yo. That's it. It's that simple, yo. It's that simple. It's that simple. My baby just want a shower. That's it.
Just selfish. People are just selfish, especially my parents.
Tell them what he was doing to you.
I've been abused, tormented. Everything that probably could happen to me.
Tell them what he did, more.
He hurt me. He hurt me. I don't want to go back there. Because when I go back, I'm going to miss everyone.
And I think there's a misconception when we say PTSD. People don't understand that it comes in different forms. It's not just from being in the service.
Because we do associate PTSD with soldiers. We forget that we are surviving wars in our neighborhoods every day. Like when Malcolm X talked about not sitting with his back, to the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how I move through the world. Mm-hmm. There are times where I realize until someone says something or I see something on TV or whatever, I'm scrolling and I'll be like, and I realize I've been holding my breath. And are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm waiting for the and whatever that
another shoe to drop.
Because it's gonna. I've been living that way since I was 19. Mm-hmm. I try not to go anywhere where there is money that exchanges hands after dark. When you have danced with the devil up close, when you have slow dragged with the devil,
good Lord,
you know what people are capable of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what the world is capable of. Mm-hmm. How are you not always in fear of it happening?
We're just not allowed to be vulnerable. We have to be strong all the time. This is 400 years of damage, 400 years of trauma that we have not dealt with. And the way we deal with it is be strong. Put on a strong face. Nothing's wrong with you. You don't have mental health. You're not gay. You're not allowed to be human. That's a lie. We hurt and we're suffering. When you think about the trauma the African American community has been through since we've been brought to this country, we have not dealt with that. And then you get to these microaggressions that are happening right in front of our faces every day on television. Women's sons are being taken from them for no reason at all. And through that, we still have to be strong. How fucking dare you? How dare you? How dare you put that on me?
To Sandra Bland of Portsmouth. May 14th, 2009. I was legit a block from my home. I was about to start college in 4 days. I was looking for a job so I could, save up money, get a car, get about my mama's house. My ex-fiance was going back and forth with a police officer. And I really didn't know what it was about. And all I remember is the police officer said to my ex-fiance was, hey, didn't I say I don't want to see you out here anymore? And I'm like, well, what the fuck? I live out here. Why wouldn't he come out here? 18, lost his hair. So that led to the police officer putting his hand on his gun, having the flashlight out, and letting my ex-fiance know, I will arrest your ass. And I actually had to squeeze in between them. And I told him, if you're going to arrest him, you're going to have to arrest me first. He went and got 2 more police officers. Officer O'Brien came with her boyfriend. I don't remember his name. Now, Officer O'Brien and her boyfriend are both white. Officer Gibbs is black, who was the original police officer. Officer O'Brien told me, because I corrected her on what neighborhood we were in, she said, you're really about to make me whoop your ass and take you downtown. And that's exactly what she did. I got my ass whooped. I got taken downtown. So when they were actually taking me across the street to put me in the car, I got slammed. I was in handcuffs. I wasn't saying anything. I didn't resist arrest, nothing. They threw me head first into the back of the car. They was talking shit, took me back out the back of the car, tried to slam me again. But they did slam me again. And they actually took me out and slammed me again because I told my ex-fiance, I said, go get my mama. So I guess they thought my mama was going to come down there fussing and cussing. My mama's not like that. She's a lady. Okay? She's a lady. She wasn't going to do that. But when they pulled me out the back of the car that time, they slammed me and they tried to throw me back in head first. And I resisted that time, and I tried to put myself in the back of the car because you're not going to throw me head first when I'm willing and capable of putting myself in the back of the car. And so they started slamming the door on my left ankle. And if anybody's ever been arrested before, them doors are not light. I kicked the door open, and I kicked them over in the process of kicking the door open to get it off my ankle. And Officer Gibbs got up and laughed and said, we're on a whole different level now. And I had officially become a felon. I got bullied into signing a plea deal. I was 18. Plea deal actually was going to give me more time, but I wasn't going to be a felon, which I did not want to become a felon at 18 years old. So I signed the plea deal, which really wasn't a good deal at all. But like I said, I didn't want to be a felon. And I still wanted to be able to vote and be able to leave the country, own a gun, things of that nature. So, yeah, I took the plea deal. And during court, after court, I was getting stalked and harassed by Officer Gibbs. And anytime I get pulled over now by a police officer, I have to call someone to make sure that my life isn't took. Because when they go to that car and they run my background and they see what's up there, oh, she assaulted 2 police officers, and that's all they see. They don't get to see my side of the story or what happened to me. All they see is, oh, she assaulted 2 police officers. They come back to that car either scared or angry. And either one of those emotions can put a bullet in my ass.
World.
So you sing from anger?
No, I sing from intelligence. I sing from letting them know that I know who they are and what they have done to my people around the world. That's not anger. Anger has its place. Anger has fire, and fire moves things. But I sing from intelligence. I don't want them to think that I don't know who they are, darling.
Who are they?
They are the white people around the world with the
Among all the unforgettable things and unforgettable people in your life, there was Martin Luther King, wasn't there?
Oh, yes. Well, I marched with him. I knew him. I composed a song for him. I knew his wife, all his children, and I was in the Selma March with him and the march on Alabama, at Miles College in Alabama, and the march on Washington. I was right beside his side.
We saw the public face of him, we saw the public man. What was he like in those private moments when he was out of the public eye?
Darling, he was always on stage. His dedication was of such immense proportion that he never forgot for a minute that he was there to lead my people. He never forgot that for a minute. And when he was not on stage, he was still on stage. He was always talking about equal rights.
You've said in the past that you would have worked to try to get him to the presidency. Do you think realistically that he could ever have had a shot at the presidency?
Yes, he could have. Yes, he could have, baby. He could have if he hadn't gotten killed, and we'd had a little bit more support.
You really think that America was ready for a black president?
Yes, I do.
Because even black politicians in Washington these days say they don't think that's the case.
Well, not now. Jesse Jackson was no match for him. There's not been a man since then. And his dream came true with Nelson Mandela, because Nelson got it done in South Africa.
So the same thing that was done in South Africa could
have been done in the United States. Yes, I distinctly believe that. I need a cigarette. You're making me hot. Can I have a light, please? Go ahead.
She keeps hoping.
But you must, people must have shown you affection and love in your life. Is it that you can't accept it?
The public and my daughter, yes. The public.
Never,
If
never,
it wasn't
never
for
a
the
man?
public, a man has always wanted to lay me down, but he never wanted to pick me up. And the men that did have real love and affection for me were the ones that never touched me. That was Orson Welles, Ruby Rosa. And there were a couple of real love, strong love that men have had for me. Two of them, John Barry Ryan III and Othello Jr. But then the mothers step in. And I think very often the mothers, particularly with boys who come from extremely wealthy families and they are the only son, they would rather them marry trash than marry someone of color, no matter how wonderful that person of color may be.
You've been in
And to put on that facade like you're strong all the time, is this exactly what it is, a facade? That's whack. You have to be human. And human means you're vulnerable. And human means you're layered. And you know, being in an industry where, you know, you're getting paid 52 cents on the dollar compared to a white male, things like that weigh on your soul. You know, because I'm an artist and I'm an artist to the bone. So when I work, I give you all of me. And to know that all of me is only worth 52 cents on the dollar of what he's getting paid, that hurts. A lot of that stuff started weighing on me and sort of like dimming my light.
How did you feel when he died?
Oh God, man, I was devastated. I wrote a song in his honor the next day called "The King of Love Is Dead."
How much did that devastate you? I mean, what did it do
Oh,
to your
I
life?
think I must have cried for 2 weeks. And it killed my inspiration for the civil rights movement. I'm ready. In the United States, and I moved away.
You were also scared, weren't you? Because of all the killing that was going on, because
Yes, I was
Jack
scared.
Kennedy was killed, Robert Kennedy was killed. Did you think they were coming after you?
Not only that, the FBI was after me.
They had a file on you, didn't they?
In Washington.
You never saw it, did you?
No, we were told about it, and it's in my book. I wrote a book called "I Put a Spell on You," and in there, and I did a film called Nina Simone La Legend, and it's in there that the FBI has a file on me, and they went to Curtis Institute of Music, where I was rejected as for a scholarship, and asked Vladimir Sokolov if I had ever been mixed up in the rebellion. And he said they never found anything, but they actually went to Curtis Institute and inquired about me.
just that people think PTSD is only for people in the military. Yeah. And then not only that, it's different types of PTSD that is out there. One of the things that I'm really definitely pushing for to get more acknowledgement in like the mental health field, period, is complex PTSD. You could have PTSD from just getting robbed at the ATM. You could have PTSD like me. I got jumped by 4 people and stabbed in the back with a butcher knife. Like, I didn't like people walking up behind me. I couldn't touch scissors, knives, anything sharp for weeks. Like, you don't ask for it. It just happens.
And inquired about me.
Dr. Simone, you were born in North Carolina.
Yes, I
Tryon,
was.
in North Carolina. Very poor, your family.
Very poor. Yes, very poor.
Was there not
a lot of love?
A lot of love, but not much to eat?
At times, my mother had a saying. She said, well, we don't know what we're going to get dinner tonight, but I'll pray and it'll come. And sure enough, she prayed and it came. She's been a minister for 57 years. She's now 97 years old.
Like I said, I got in 2 car accidents and I also got in the fight with my aunt and uncle. So that definitely left me disabled for many, many years. The first car accident was June 2018. The second car accident was April 2019. And then I got in the fight with my aunt and uncle May 2019. In the course of all of that, I have not been able to work. And it's been really, really hard. So I didn't want to go to the doctors because I didn't have insurance, which is a horrible reason not to go. Okay, I didn't want to get stuck with all those bills. I'm just thinking about, I don't want to be in more debt than what I already am. I can't work. So I actually ended up going to this event at Norfolk State University. I was asked to come and be a part of this event called Medical Racism. And it was this lovely lady by the name of Sarah that I actually met when I performed for the NAACP Virginia Beach chapter earlier that year in February. We sat down at a coffee shop and she was asking me to be a part of this event at NSU about medical racism and about how I could speak on that. And she didn't even know that I was experiencing medical racism already. And she was like, you're going through it right now. Doctors don't want to help you because you're Black and you don't have, the adequate finances and this, that, and the third. And this lady actually helped me to get insurance. And then when I got the insurance, I'm thinking, I got some insurance. I'm going to finally get helped. I'm finally going to get healed. I'm not going to be, laid up in pain all the time. And I've experienced way more racism with the insurance that I have than pretty much just the same as when I didn't have insurance at all. Like, they literally don't give a fuck just because I'm Black. And it's actually a saying in the medical world that Black people can deal with pain better than any other race. So they choose not to help us.
My sincere congratulations to Rihanna and Cardi B for refusing to perform at halftime. And why is that, Miss Lewis? 'Cause that's enough. Everybody check your soul at the Super Bowl. That's enough. Take take away their fun before they shoot your son. That's enough. Our ancestors kneeled in the cotton fields. That's enough. Whites, blacks, Jews, we've got to refuse. That's enough. Get a backbone before a bullet comes down on the back of your own. That's enough. Before another hate crime, be the gladiators of our time. You're the gladiators of our time. You want a standing ovation? Take a knee for the next generation.
Not able to escape at all.
Yes. And then you had an auntie, your mother's sister, who looked after you then in New York. Isn't that right? You went to New York to your mother's sister, Auntie Mamie?
Yes, Auntie Mame.
Did she look after you any better?
No. My aunt was very, very strict. My aunt was a very tall lady. She was about 6 feet tall, and also very fair in complexion. She's half Cherokee, very majestic looking. I was deathly afraid of her, even from the sight. When I first saw her, I was terribly afraid of her. But she had no children of her own. She was never married. And I think that she brought me up north to New York out of Christian duty, you know, because she got a letter from the South that told her that if I was not taken away from this family, that they would either starve me to death or beat me to death or work me to death. And therefore, she decided that she would take me on into New York, but she wasn't any better. She was also abusing me.
You ran away from her too?
Yes, but I think God certainly has his funny ways, you know, because I was trying to get away from her, but where do you go? What do you do? I used to stay away from her as much as I could, and I kept running away. And whenever I had a few pennies, I could, subway was a nickel, for instance. And I used to get on the subway and ride from one end of Manhattan to the other, hoping that the conductor wouldn't see me, because they used to have conductors on the subways at the time. And then get off on the other end and get back on her, and he couldn't see me.
You seem to be...
And just keep riding all night long until daybreak.
Running away from your life?
Well, I don't think I was running away from life. I was running away from rejection. I was running away from not being accepted.
Angry black woman, huh? That's all that you got? You forgot. I'm the same one that told you I built empires out of parking lots. I possess the mental capacity more powerful than a Glock. Cause if I unleash this on you, it'll blow you off your feet into another dimension. When I was face down, ass up, my attitude problem you didn't bother to mention. Got me waking up at the ass crack of dawn to parent your kids and abandon my own. You say I'm from another country. Well, I'm a Nubian goddess, baby. Anywhere I go is my home. I'm passionate about the things I love, and I'll do anything necessary to protect that. So don't let the necessary occur.
I'm saying something for a reason. And I feel like so many times black women say stuff and nobody gives a shit. Excuse my language. Nobody gives a fuck when sometimes black women say something. But somebody of another complexion, somebody of another color, they say something, and then it's like, we're taking it to court. It's time to get serious. Hashtag me too. No, it's not cool. It's not cool, because that's not how it should be. I'm tired of, I think people have such a perception of a black woman being so strong that we're just supposed to take anything thrown at us. And then when we don't, we're weak. Well, no, I'm supposed to get beat down by everybody that comes near me? No, I'll be that bee. I'll be that bitch. If that means I have to stand for me and I have to show other young women that you should not let people take advantage of you, no matter who they are. I don't care if it was the goddamn president. I'd have still posted the shit.
The thing about trauma is it's not just, you know, affecting one part of your life or who you are. It's more so, I believe you have 4 bodies: the mental, emotional, spiritual, and the physical. Trauma penetrates all 4 of those bodies. Where you might get upset with somebody in traffic, that just might affect your emotional body. It might affect your mental body for a little bit, but it's not going to affect you a week later. You're not still thinking about that same person. But when you have trauma, it penetrates to levels so deep, it could take a whole lifetime to heal. My trauma has affected me so bad mentally that I have tried to commit suicide multiple times, starting at the age of 13. My mental body has been affected by my trauma because I have depression. My physical body has been affected by my trauma because I got in 2 car accidents in that fight as well with my aunt and uncle, all within a year. So I had 3 physical traumatic events happen to me within a year. And because I have not healed from the trauma that I've been through, from my inner child, from when I was younger and things I've been through, it has affected me physically. Sometimes people who go through chronic depression complain about headaches or physical body aches. Because I was already in chronic pain from having physical trauma, my mental trauma, my emotional trauma, my spiritual trauma was just adding on more to the pain I was already feeling. How my trauma has affected me emotionally, I don't trust people. For what? I don't trust anybody. New friends, over, I don't trust anyone. No, what is trust? What is trust? No, I don't do that. And like I said, all of your bodies are connected: your mental, emotional, physical, and your spiritual. So because when one body is out of whack, it affects the other ones because they're trying to make up for the lack that one body has. So because my emotional body has been traumatized for so long, and I knew I was depressed and, you know, going through anxiety, I'm so focused on I need to heal my mental body, that I didn't know anything about my emotional body. And my emotional body was being suppressed for so long that I now actually have chronic kidney disease, stage 2. Which is also another disease that African Americans are leading in for basically our demise. My chronic kidney disease comes from, well, your kidneys are associated with your sacral chakra, which is your second chakra in your body. It's orange. It's located close to kind of the pelvis region a little bit, in between like the stomach and the pelvis. And it has a lot to do with your vulnerability and how you trust and how you open up to people. And it also remembers every emotional memory that you have. And because a lot of my emotional memories aren't that great, they sat there and they sat there and they sat there. And I do believe a big part of my chronic kidney disease comes from not only as a child being told that my thoughts and my feelings don't matter, but also abandonment issues from my father as well, for being a deadbeat. Ironically enough, he has it as well because his father abandoned him. He's stage 5 though. came up with the concept for Angry Black Woman, the poem. So it was this guy I was dating. We've been dating on and off for a few years, and I'm gonna be honest with you, he let some people get in his head that didn't like me because they were hating on me. Jealousy is a horrible thing, okay? And he wanted to be accepted. He wanted to be popular. So sometimes people kind of go along with whatever someone tells you about a person. And I remember we were going back and forth one day because he wasn't listening to me because he was being very selfish like he usually is. And he was like, "You're just so angry." I said, "No, I'm not angry. I'm passionate." Okay, it's the difference. I'm not angry. And even if I was angry, I have right to be angry. Look at all that I'm carrying. Look at all that I've been through. So the concept of Angry Black Woman, the poem, and even the documentary is to show that, no, it's not that Black women are angry. We're fucking tired. We carry so much weight of the world. We're fucking tired. We love and we love and we give and we give and we get depleted and we have nothing left for us. That's not fair.
When you have issues and you have no one to talk to and the walls are closing in and the voices are getting too loud, what I notice is that people will start to self-medicate because you want to feel good, right? So then they turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, and we're seeing this with the youth a lot.
Well, I can understand how following something, I mean, several years of that is going to mark you for life.
Well, you try not to have it leave a scar on you, emotionally or mentally, but of course, and even though the physical scars are gone, and you start talking about it like we are talking about it now, and you try to not get emotional about it, but all of a sudden those feelings do come back. And the idea of them tying me to a tree and you're not able to escape it.
How's it living with social anxiety? It's hell. Real talk, like for real. Like people don't get it. And I'm someone who's very active in my mental health. I'm like, okay, this is my issue. This is my problem. I'm doing research. How can I fix it? And I lay in it. But at the same time, I still have to combat it all the time. I have situations come up all the time. And I get invited to stuff being a poet and a musician and a motivational speaker and an author and all these different things that I do, an entrepreneur, all these different things that I do. And then when I'm like, I'm not coming, it's like, stab in the heart. They're mad at me. And I'm like, I'm trying to make sure I'm okay. And then when I do say, well, don't be so damn, antisocial. And then I go out and then I'm getting talked about because I came to the event. I'm like, damn if I do, I'm damn if I don't. Okay? I'm damn if I do, I'm damn if I don't. Like, what more do you want from me? Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to my social anxiety, I learned I have to pace myself. Because I remember when I first started performing, doing poetry, I want to go out all the time. Everybody that invites me out to perform, I gotta go. And that landed me in bad predicaments around people who are not of my like energy. And that's something that I really had to pay attention to. My intuition. How does the environment feel? How are the people acting? What is the behavior like? What is the conversation, The people in my life would actually be more patient with my social anxiety. Like, my mother and grandmother text me, and sometimes it takes me hours to text them back. I mean, I understand I go a long time to hit people back. I do, but it's because I have to be in the right mind frame in order to just read a message. It's beyond just going out of the house. It's getting on social media, it's reading messages or talking on the phone or video chats. Like, it's deep. It's deep. Like, even right now, like, I have my stone with me because I'm nervous to be sitting in front of a camera. And it's nobody in here but me. Okay? It's nobody in here but me. But just what a camera represents communication with others to me. So I need something to
Has that stayed with you? That's what I mean. Do you find that, is that why you think perhaps you're an extrovert, that you're looking for attention, you're looking for affection?
But Mr. Vogan, you know something? I'm not an extrovert. I can tease as Eartha Kitt, but as Eartha May, forget it. I'm hiding under behind the bushes, behind the chairs, behind everything I could possibly find to hide behind. Because I never have been with that kind of security within Eartha May that makes me feel that she will ever be accepted. I don't think Eartha, in myself, in my subconscious. And when I'm writing the book, when I was writing the book, I realized that more and more. And that's why maybe sometimes I am going around looking like the urchin that I really know I am inside of myself, and not wearing any makeup and not caring about what I look like. That little ugly duckling was always told she's an ugly duckling. Nobody wants you. And she's trying so hard to find somebody that says, Eartha May, it's all right. You want it too. But nobody's done that yet. Maybe I have not given them a chance to do so, I don't know. But she keeps hoping.
But
I struggle with depression and anxiety. I would have to say I realized it about 2 years ago. I noticed the mood swings, like, you know, one day I'd be up and the next day I'd be down, feeling like I don't want to go out in public, almost agoraphobic, like, too much to deal with, feeling really awkward in my skin, feeling out of sorts, you know, and just down, like Debbie Downer, like a dark cloud. And then there would be days where my brain wouldn't stop racing, which I would think of the most worst scenarios in the world, which would heighten my anxiety. And, you know, people were like, you just need to meditate and yoga and things like that. And I would do that, but my brain would still race. For me,
I wasn't homeless. I've never been homeless. That's a lie.
You also seem to have had a lot of problems with the music industry.
Yes,
Racketeers, you've talked about.
For God's sakes, they don't pay you. I still have 60 albums being pirated in England right now.
Nobody's actually paying you for these?
No. I have a great lawyer from San Francisco, and he goes after as many pirates as he can, but he can't catch them all. They run the streets too fast. I've been pirated all over the world.
People misunderstand and mistake my trauma for drama. So I have this saying where I say, is it trauma or is it drama? Because especially in the Black community, we become very lazy when it comes to identifying mental health issues. And we were like, oh, it's drama, when it really could just be trauma. I feel that a lot of people have mistaken my trauma for drama because I didn't even understand it myself at first. I didn't know I was depressed. I didn't know I was suicidal. I didn't know I was going through it. One of the biggest mistakes that Black people make when it comes to, you know, drama versus trauma is that we think that mental health is just one thing, or only a certain amount of people or a certain specific type of people can only be affected by mental health. Everyone is affected by mental health. And the reason why the Black community is affected so much is not only have we experienced certain misfortunes and tragedies, but it's because we don't acknowledge it, or we don't have the adequate help or the adequate knowledge, or we don't have the type of environment that is created to be able to birth a new type of healthier environment to help us to heal this part that has been keeping us anchored for so long. I didn't understand my trauma. I just kind of figured, you know, this is something that happens to everybody. I have friends who've been touched improperly, or I know people that have been, you know, raped, or they were touched when they were a child, or who were forced into losing their virginity at an early age, not even realizing that's molestation, that's rape. One of the biggest reasons why I didn't recognize my trauma is because in the Black community, trauma is normal. We just, oh, that's just a part of our life. That's just how we live. Just suck it up, get over it. Why are you dwelling on it for? Oh, we don't do depression. And a lot of us are naturally in an environment that all it does is breed depression.
Before I let you go, one question. There is a report that at a business meeting once, you pulled out a knife.
I sure damn did.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Why?
Because, oh dear. Because there was a record company.
You were about to say something you
I
shouldn't.
can't say. I was a record company that stole my albums and didn't pay me, and they came to Switzerland, and I said, where's my money? And they said, we're not going to give you any money. I said, oh, yes, you are. And I got a gun. It was a gun. It wasn't a knife. And I followed him to a restaurant, and I tried to kill him. I missed him, and I went back to America.
You actually pulled the trigger?
Excuse me. Yes, I did.
and felt better for it.
Oh, yes. Sorry I didn't get him.
So now we've advertised that side of your life, and you say that you're still looking for a lover. Men are going to be a bit nervous of you, aren't they?
They are very.
Do you manage to put them at ease?
No.
And you don't try too hard?
No, I don't try. Yes, I try hard, but I refuse to cook or to clean.
So they've got to take you as you are.
They've got to take me as I am and recognize that I'm a star as well as a woman, and they have to deal with the two.
And treat you properly.
Definitely.
In my soul to be able to say, oh, that's post-traumatic stress syndrome. I need it.
You need it.
I need it.
Yeah.
What happens when you get triggered?
Usually my right arm starts to feel like it's going numb, and it just feels like a full body heart attack. The way you would imagine a heart attack, but in your knees, in your legs, in your arms, in your chest, in your eyeballs. Trauma can take so many forms.
I pull from the earth, the universe, in my words that can get so colorful and profound sometimes. They can hold all brain activity and make jaws drop. Oh, silly rabbit, you thought all these curves was for entertainment? PSA, it's more to a black woman than twerking and making the ass drop. Yeah, I can put a hump in my back and shake my rump. But how soon do we forget I'm America's, no, the world's emotional dump?
Sit down and focus. I'm speaking up now because we are facing a national crisis. I want people to know that it is okay to seek help for mental health. There is nothing wrong with it. You go to the dentist, don't you? You go get your yearly checkup. Better check on your mental. Would still race. For me, there was no shame when I started to recognize it. It was like that I have to get some help because I'm the life of the party, and when I go dark, I go dark. I don't want to leave the house. And my friends started to notice me pulling back. And my father, who also had his issues with mental health, was really open about it, about his manic depression. But you know, as I think back, no one else really talked about it. It was hush hush, or, you know, he just crazy, or, you know, things like that. For my dad, what he needed was a culturally competent therapist. And it's not even about the skin color or the race, it's about being culturally competent. And the reason why we can't find culturally competent therapists is because at home, in the African American community, we don't talk about mental health. You know, it's a stigma surrounding it. And when you have no one to talk to, what a person usually do is they will try to...
I was in darkness for a long time. So now that I've come into my own, having been in therapy and taking medication, I live a pretty good life. I'm level, and I'm grateful they've got something out there to help me. And too often, mental illness is taboo in our community.
How I cope with my trauma and my PTSD is I try to do things that I know are healthy for me. I try to set boundaries. I don't want to be around people that are gossiping or that are negative or that I feel like don't understand me. I always got to explain myself. Then no, I don't want to be around you. Okay? If my energy don't feel right when I'm around you, I don't want to be around you. I like doing things like grounding and yoga and drinking tea and meditating. I love reading books and listening to high vibe music. Also, therapy has helped me to a certain extent. Okay? I'm not going to sit up here and sell a fairy tale to people because, like, damn, I'm on my third therapist and I think I'm about to look for another one because I'm like, you just don't get it. Okay? You just don't get it. Don't expect your therapist to be your knight in shining armor. It's something I had to learn. But therapy has helped me a lot, especially my first therapist, with understanding me and also how to set better boundaries. It's also a place where you can go and have a safe space to talk about what it is that you're going through and not feel judged. Another way that I cope is I do things that I love. Like, ever since I was 4 years old, I would write. I started writing music. I composed my first song called The Sun and the Moon when I was 4 years old. Ironically enough, I also started getting molested when I was 4 years old. So it's always been my outlet. Like, you have to have some type of creative outlet to help you with your PTSD or with your trauma or with your mental health, because we can't just keep holding it in, y'all. And I call it transmuting the energy. So you're going to put your energy into something else because energy never dies. Okay? It just keeps recycling. Keeps recycling. It's what you choose to do with the energy, though. Okay? So I like to paint, I like to write, I like to perform, I like to go to the studio, I like to just be creative, make jewelry, whatever it is that I can express myself is the best way that I can cope. And I love helping other people. Like, that's like one of my favorite things. It's helping other people how to navigate through their own, to empower them. I like to turn my pain into purpose, you know?
To speak on it. When I got back above water, when I stopped suffocating myself, I was drowning. And once I released my truth, once I spoke my truth, I started to float back. You know, that's what it is. It's luggage, it's baggage, and it will weigh you down. You better to pop those trunks and get that mess out and deal with it. It's okay. We're human. No one's perfect. The perfection is the perfect lie. When my therapist said that, my wings sprouted. The pressure of trying to be something perfect, which doesn't exist, is crazy. Let go of that myth.
What gave you the power to say, I'm going to go get some help?
I think because it had been suggested that night at the hospital when I was getting my rape kit that I was going to need a lot of stuff. The immediate thing was, physical help, but from a medical doctor. But part of that, exit interview, if you will, before they, release you, if she's going to need, I'm being the nurse talking to my parent, she's going to need, therapy and mental health help that you all are not going to be equipped to give her. They felt helpless as well. And we all started coping with it in different ways. So I started therapy. Probably wasn't even a week, maybe 5 days after my rape. Still, face swollen, eyes swollen shut. I was like, let me tell you what happened when I was 8. Yeah. Being able to have the language to know what was happening to me, to define the terror that exists to this day in my body, in my spirit, in my soul, to be able to say, oh, that's post-traumatic stress syndrome. I need it.
You need
it. I need it.
Not take care of yourself. I'm not pushing any given or specific drug. I think we got too much of that out in the world anyway. Help yourself. But if you really need it, it's like high blood pressure. It's like, cancer. Take care of yourself.
Exists is crazy. Let go of that myth. When I'm vulnerable, I'm scared, or I'm having these non-pleasant thoughts, I let it run. Because if you muffle it, it's only going to resurface again. So you have to kind of let it run and play out like a faucet. Just let it run until the water runs out, and then when it's you pick yourself back up. Because your mind will play tricks on you. I talk to myself, and I think more people need to talk to themselves because you work things out. And it's not, people can call it crazy, whatever. I even catch myself doing it in public, and I have to stop. But it's just a way to work things out. And it's okay. It's okay. I will have a full-on conversation with myself.
When you first started going to therapy?
Wow, I was 33 years old.
Okay.
I spent half my life depressed and manic as hell.
Did you know it was depression?
Absolutely not. It was normal.
That's right.
I cried every night of my life. Well, there were some nights I had sex, and that was all right. I didn't cry that night. I was like, Merry Christmas. Hey,
you never cried over some bad sex? Like, ugh.
Bad sex? Like, I wish the fuck he would. Not if I was... No, I was in my 20s then. You get it up or get stabbed. I wish a bitch would bring a limp dick in my house when we were that young. What? Nigga, please.
That's not for me to decide. That's for someone who decides to live with me to decide. Not for me.
But are you willing to compromise within a relationship?
To compromise? What is compromising? Compromising for what? Compromising for what reason? To compromise for what? To compromise. What is compromise?
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
Stupid. A man comes into my life and I have to compromise? You must think about that one again. A man comes into my life and you have to compromise for what? For what? For what? A relationship is a relationship that has to be earned, not to compromise for. And I love relationships. I think they're fantastic. They're wonderful. I think they're great. I think there's nothing in the world more beautiful than falling in love. But falling in love for the right reason, falling in love for the right purpose, falling in love. Falling in love. When you fall in love, what is there to compromise about?
Isn't love a union between two people? Or does Eartha fall in love with herself?
I think if you were to think about it in terms of analyzing, yes, I fall in love with myself, and I want someone to share it with me. I want someone to share me with me.
Has that happened?
Bye, Waylon! Bye! Many times. In many ways.
You do your best and you leave the rest. Yeah. Don't let life drive you crazy. You drive that motherfucker. It's yours. You understand? You're in charge. You can wait for something outside of you to help you if you want. You better look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and love what you see, or stand there until you love it. If the tears come, let them come. But stand there. That's what I want to give you guys. I don't care what profession you go in. Don't think it's going to come overnight. It's not. Your job is to do the work. Who am I? Because, honey, if you don't know who you are in the back of that limousine, it doesn't matter.
Turn my pain into purpose was, like I said, helping other people. I have clients, fans, followers that I help, that I speak life into, and that I help navigate through their spiritual life. I actually call myself a spiritual therapist. I believe mantras, affirmations, meditating, grounding, journaling, allowing yourself to purge. I believe these are different things that are great with helping. I also wrote a book called The 12 Months of Growth Challenge, a 12-month journey to a better you. It's something that I feel is very realistic with helping you with your growth and helping you to focus on you and what it is that you need to heal to help elevate you to become a better person. In this book, I do have challenges and exercises, and I also have affirmations to help you get through the month. You have to constantly keep speaking life back into yourself. You can't expect someone else to do it. You have to do it for you first.
Jennifer, I hear you have a morning mantra too. What is that?
Oh yeah. I brush my teeth every morning, spit it out. I go like this in the mirror, and I lean forward and I pause. And I say these words: pretty bitch.
You've been a tremendous survivor in the face of things that most people would not have survived. Where do you find happiness? What
I have to find it
gives you
within
pleasure?
myself. And the wonderful feeling that you have when you're standing on that stage and that audience gives you that applause and says, Eartha, it's okay. You're still here and we're glad that you're still here. And when I see the young people, particularly today when everybody knows I'm past 50, whatever the number may be, does not seem to matter to them. When I see the people my age who have grown up with me in this business, they're in the audience and they've brought their children and their children's children. Believe me, that makes me feel that I really am a worthwhile person. But then it's something else when I go back to the dressing room, because when I take off the makeup and I'm not Eartha Kitt anymore, we say, okay, now,
You're Eartha
yeah,
May.
I'm Eartha May again. It becomes a testing ground. And I know that. No matter how hard you try not to, it's still there. I'm not afraid of it. And I'm very glad that I can have the feelings from that urchin. And I'm very glad that I have never tried to cover her up. I'm very glad that she's still a part of me. And I'm very glad that she will always be a part of me, because she helps me do what she knows I have to do out there on that stage, because there is where my survival is, with that public. And with those who know me well enough to realize that Eartha May, or Kitty, whomever they want to call me, she's okay.
Life seems to have gone wrong for you after that,
No,
didn't it?
I wouldn't say that. My music has always lifted me, and I've had a few love affairs that have lifted me. Life hasn't gone wrong for me. I've been unlucky. No, I haven't been. No, I have no complaints about my life.
A lot of that stuff started weighing on me and sort of like dimming my light, and I had to just get control of it. And you know, what I started to do was started making me feel good about it, is not keeping it in and talking about it, you know? Because if you talk, maybe things will get fixed. I felt such a relief when I finally said it publicly. Like, I suffer from this. People just, it was an outpour. You know, it was an outpour. People, it was like they were like this, and all of a sudden they felt free to speak on it.
All honesty, you gotta be realistic with yourself. You gotta face it. You gotta understand that, yes, you may not be the cause of how you got here, but you gonna be the cause of why you didn't stay. And you really gotta learn self-love. Like, you gotta really love on yourself. Like, I look at myself in the mirror sometimes and say, I'm a sexy motherfucker. My confidence used to be so low. That comes from depression and anxiety. Like, my confidence used to be so low. Now I'm like, bitch, shit, who fucking with you? Self-love is the best love. Period.
Dare you to get up tomorrow morning and look in the mirror, look in your own eyes and say, I love myself. And stand there and say it over and over and over until you mean it. Let the tears fall. I dare you.
It's more to a black woman than twerking and making her ass drop. Yeah, I can put a hump in my back and shake my rump. But how soon do we forget I'm America's, no, the world's emotional dump? Birthed a whole nation, got left in the dust, and you ignored my crap. So enough is enough. Angry black woman, huh? So I guess that's the thing. Well, don't take my love for granted, and don't mistake my passion for rage. Sincerely, a passionate black woman. Y'all like that one? Okay, so now y'all feeling me now? I'm not just angry. I just been through a few things. I'm not just out here beating.
I'm a celebrity, and at this point, everybody kept asking me, do you have a charity? And I really couldn't find anything that I was passionate about, and then I was like, this is it. You know what I mean? Because this is something I'm really passionate about. This is something that is a necessity for me. And so we have to break this cycle of keeping our mouths closed. So I called my best friend, who also has a lifetime of suffering with anxiety, and that's when we decided to birth the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, named after my father. So I think he'd be really proud. I felt such an urgency to do something. I felt like it was my mission to give back to these children because they're having coping issues. And so my foundation is, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get these babies while they're kids. So we infiltrate the school, we get counselors in there who can see a child dealing with a traumatic situation at home, because these kids come to school from trauma, from traumatic situations at home, and we expect them to learn and sit down and focus. I'm speaking up now because we are facing a national crisis.
I feel the main way that black people can become more mentally literate when it comes to mental health is talking about it, learning about it. Understand, just because you're not going through it doesn't mean it's not happening to someone. Okay? And then another thing, I can't stand it. I done got into so many debates with people this year about the ignorance that they say out their mouth. Oh, they need pills, or they need to get back on their pills, or oh, they need to be hospitalized, or oh, the therapy isn't working for you. Are you mentally trained? Do you have a degree? Is that your career? To diagnose someone's mental health? Because it's mine. Is it yours though? Like, black people, we really got to stop doing that shit, man. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because when you tell somebody they need to get on pills or they need to be hospitalized or anything along them lines, or oh, you're crazy, or therapy, you need therapists, therapy ain't working. I tell people they need therapists, but I be serious when I say them, like, you really need to go to therapy. You need to talk that shit out with somebody, and it ain't me, okay? But when you do that, it's the same thing as when my aunt stood in that door that day and I said, I tried to commit suicide because your son was molesting me since I was 4 years old. And she said, good. You're killing people by doing that. And I've said it before. Suicide is the #1 thing that is killing people that can be prevented.